All right, I have another video here today on the MEP 531 Alpha. This will also apply to the MEP 501 Alpha. And it's just going to be done doing an oil change. It's pretty simple, but if you're just doing the research on what you need, this will just be a quick go over what you need, some tips and tricks. I already got everything all laid out here. You can use a wrench, but a 17 millimeter. It's going to be for your oil drain. 10 millimeter is for your little oil strainer right here. This is the genuine Yanmar oil strainer. You don't always need to replace this. I'm just choosing to do it because I have no idea how long this thing sat empty and what kind of crap is in there, because you can clean these off with some brake cleaner if they're not bad, but I had a bunch of these anyway. The Yanmar tag had one of the military stickers put over it, so what I'm going to do is just put a little thing over right now with the actual Yanmar part number, and as I usually do, I'll put some links in the description to it. And 1540 weight oil. To be completely honest, I don't exactly remember the capacity on this. And in my experience with these Yanmar motors, it's never exact. As we go to fill up, I'll show you what you need to do to just make sure you're good. And for draining, just something like a catch pan. It's like an old hospital catch pan type thing, but anything you could do. And then I just cut some old 2x4s and lifted it up so it just gives you enough space to let it drain. You can also do the drain and stuff on this side of the motor as well. You can see there's 17 millimeter right there. I just choose to do it on this side because the oil drain is right there. Let's get set up. Okay, that was a little bit tighter than it should have been. Before I actually go any farther, I do want to show a little symptom. When I'm talking about tightening this up, the strainer, you don't want to over tighten it because you can see I actually pre-staged everything. There is some oil in this catch pan already and it was completely cleaned. That's because whoever put this strainer on, it was probably drained and just shoved back in here before it was surplused. If you over tighten it, it will make the O-ring not seal right and warp the plastic. It does not need to be very tight. You can take your drain out and it is going to hit right here and make a mess. Now my oil is a little discolored on this because I did put a little ATF in there to run it during my 4-hour load test to clean it out. On the back side of this, there is like a little washer. Sometimes they're copper, sometimes they're like a rubber seal washer. You want to make sure that that is there and clean all this up before you put it on. That's mostly drained out. I'm gonna do my 10 millimeter over here now. Yeah, see, I can see that was way over tightened. And that's where you'll kind of look at this, and that's where you can determine, one, if you're having any issue with your engine, because you'll see a bunch of metal stuff stuck in there. But you can clean this off if you choose. Make sure your O-ring comes out with it. I'll show you on the new one what I'm talking about more. There's a lot of dirt built up on this. Just going to give this time. I'm just going to throw this old one away because I'm putting a new one in. But I'm going to give this all time to drain out. Now that it's just at a drip, tilt the whole thing up. See if any more comes out, which it is. And of course, it's going to hit the frame there and make a bit more of a mess. All right, now that you cleaned all that stuff up and it's mostly stopped, I swear these things just keep dripping oil forever. Plug back in. If your drain plug was missing that washer, I think you can go to Harbor Freight and get one of the universal copper seal kits and you'll be good to go. The O-ring on the strainer, just dip it in the old oil, get it a little lubricated, put it on there. I do not recommend at all using any of the China copy stuff when it comes to these Yanmar engines, because in my experience, I've found that they do not match up well, which makes me think that they're not going to seal well. Okay, make sure that's seated in there, and it will rotate a little bit. You don't got to get it perfect. You do not want to use the bolt to make it seat all the way though. This one's being a little stubborn to me. Go figure, I'm recording a video. Let's help it. There it goes. So you need this too. Like I said, you don't want to use the bolt. Make sure that seats all the way. The plastic will go against. That means that it's seated where it needs to go. And then, sure, there's a inch-pounds torque spec on this, but I got it to the point where I can't turn this with my hand anymore. And then quarter turn more. That's it. That puts all that stuff in. Then what I usually do to fill this is get it to the bottom of the threads in the fill hole. And that's basically full on the dipstick. And see how I overfilled it a little bit? It happens. So you get to see me make a nice little mess and embarrass myself in a YouTube video. As that just dribbles out all the extra and gets all over my garage, what I'll usually do, since you can't prime a filter or anything in this, is hold down the decompression lever and cycle the engine a couple times. And you can see that the oil pump's cycling around. So I'm gonna shove this back in there because it's so full. And what that'll do is that'll just suck some of the oil up into the oil pump and get oil in and around the system that we let drain out because the oil strainer, and then give us a more accurate reading. But of course I'm gonna sit here and embarrass myself and make a mess, but you can see there is a tad too much still in there. So what I'm gonna do is purposely spill out a little bit more because you don't wanna have these engines with too much oil. They already build a ton of pressure when they're cold. We're at the bottom of the threads. Let me wipe off my little dipstick. And when you do check the oil level, but just a hair above the line. So what I would do, bring it outside, run it for a couple minutes, get that oil really flowing, let it get in where it needs to go, and then let it cool off and check it again. But I gotta clean up my mess here, and then I'm gonna clean the generators off. That's how you change the oil and make a mess. All right, if you make a big mess like I do, or you end up making kind of a mess of it anyway, if you got a surplus one, it's probably covered in all crap anyway from them letting the fuel drain out. Super Clean has always supported my channel. I like their product anyway. I was using it before. I'm gonna use some Super Clean, but whatever you got. There's not really anything electronic. I wouldn't go and spray the control box. I'm gonna degrease the engine and try to get all the crap off of it. This is the aerosol one. It works really well for getting in all the little crevices because it foams up. Just to show you all that crap on there, kind of show you afterwards when I'm done. Whoa, I don't know if you guys saw that, but a freaking lizard just came out of this engine. It must have been in there overnight in my garage. You can see that was, I gave it 2 minutes to kind of soak in there. And I mean, it's wet, but you'd be able to see if there was still oil. You can see there's still some on the vibration isolator there. But water would be beading up and running off a lot if it didn't clean it. So it was a good job. All right, that's a wrap up on the service. Simple video. Hopefully someone found it helpful. Links in the description to anything you might need that helps out with this. I have other videos on these generators. Thanks for watching.